So how do you know you're a good Scrum Master? That's a hard question to answer sometimes.
Oof.
How do you know how to hire the right person as a Scrum Master? And I've seen a lot of fails on that.
Well, I think it's just you used to have the title of project manager, and now therefore you become a scrum master. I think that's how it works. Um, no offense to all the project managers out there, but I did have someone say that to me once. Like, no, I'm a project manager, so therefore on the scrum team I must be a scrum master. It's a little bit more complex than that. Shocking to hear, I know. One of the first things that I look for, both in myself when I'm evaluating myself and others, if I'm looking to see, hey, this person might be a good scrum master, is a quality that's hard to really nail down or define. I'll throw out some phrases that I think approximate it. I've heard high emotional intelligence, people smarts. I've heard it described as the ability to read the room. I'm not looking for someone who's necessarily clairvoyant. I don't need you to read someone else's mind. But we've probably all come across those people who are willing to just who understand kind of the feeling in the room and maybe even willing to act on it, like pointing out the elephant in the room. Like we all feel like everybody's thinking the same thing, but there's that one person who's willing to say it out loud so we can start addressing it. Like that is usually someone who's going to be a good scrum master because they may not have the answers for everything, nor do they really need to. Um, but they're willing to kind of reveal the problem. And in order to reveal the problem, you kind of have to sometimes sense what's not being said.
Yeah, I got some thoughts directly related to that. So my kind of angle on this next point is around a balance between being passive and active.
Mm,
And by that, I mean, not in every situation do you need to be out there and I'm the scrum master and this is the way it's going to be and this is going to be how it goes. But every once in a while, you do need to be more of a driver. You got a team flailing. It's a retrospective. We're getting close to the end, and we still haven't come up with an improvement opportunity. Perhaps the scrum master finally steps in and says, look, guys, we got lots of discussion. We can always have an after party for this particular thing, but let's not hold everybody hostage while some of us argue about finer points. What's our improvement opportunity? And so strong facilitation skills are more on the active side. Once in a while, you need a scrum master with strong facilitation skills. Now, in terms of being passive, there are times when you should just take a step back, let the team decide, let the team fail, let the team learn. But be careful on when you pull that card as well, because allowing a team to make a catastrophic mistake while you watch it happen, not a great idea.
yeah.
So active, passive, you got to figure out when to play which card. Too active, and you're gonna upset people because you're more of a bull in a china shop. Too passive, you're not worth the salary that they're paying you.
Yeah. And I think I relate that to being a parent. I know this doesn't, everybody doesn't have this experience, but as a parent, there are times when I need to step in because my kid's doing something really dangerous. And there's times where, he might be he's doing something. If he falls, is he going to bump his elbow? Like, okay, maybe I just let him learn from that. If he falls, he's going to break his neck. Okay, I'm going to step in. Right. And I think a good scrum master has that same balance. Speaking of being active, another quality that I look for in a scrum master is really the willingness to drive change. You see in corporations, you see in big organizations and small ones sometimes these rules or these policies or that's just the way it is. And the best scrum masters that I've worked with have used that phrase, well, that's just the way it's done around here. Instead of demoralizing them and saying okay, well, I guess we have to accept it, almost like a starting pistol or a fire under them, under their chair to say, well, why does it have to be that way? Have we talked to anybody about this? This is slowing us down. Who do I see about that? Right. And being able to just start conversations. It doesn't mean, you are that bull in the china shop that you talked about, Rob, necessarily. Sometimes they can be useful. But it does mean that you have a low tolerance for just accepting the status quo and being able to say, okay, if this is the way it is now, and we know this is causing negative impacts, is there a minor change we could make to start the ball rolling? Is there a major change that we could just, propose a new way of doing things and experiment with it? Being someone who's willing to take a look at where we want to be in terms of process and team health and organizational health and value delivery and all the good things that Scrum gives us, and starting to propose steps towards that can make for a really effective Scrum Master.
I've got one final tip on this one. It's often overlooked. So you got scrum masters out there doing their thing. You've got organizations implementing scrum. And I feel there's a lot of companies and individuals that just don't put enough weight and enough value on the idea of actually being an expert in Scrum when you call yourself a Scrum Master. Scrum Master
Mm.
doesn't mean you run the show. A Scrum Master means you're like a karate master, like Miyagi or something, wax on, wax off. You are like the sage. You're the expert. You're the one people come to for advice. And to have anything good to say, you got to know what you're talking about. How do you become an expert in Scrum? Obviously, educate yourself, read the Scrum Guide, but then there's so many more books and so many more things you can be learning after your basic boot camps or intro classes. Books on soft skills that you addressed earlier, books on organizational change, stuff you just mentioned a minute ago. Understanding where Scrum came from and advanced applications of it. If you don't have answers to those basic questions, you won't gain any respect from your team. Without respect, it's really hard to influence without authority, which is one of the number one tools a Scrum Master has. So come on, let's just be experts in Scrum and commit to a path of expertise where you're continuously learning, absorbing like a sponge, everything you need to know, kicking it up a notch, taking it to the next level, and yeah, earn that respect so you can influence without authority.
Y'all described a very complex individual with a lot of skills that are needed to be able to make for a successful, good, maybe even great Scrum Master. But I think they're decent tips. Hopefully, people can take that into consideration. A lot of job descriptions out there don't account for this. So don't look
Yeah.
at that as your guide to being a good Scrum Master. Take some tips from this and level up. This is good stuff.